So you want to be a lender, but have $0 or the cash is just a little short. You want to scale your business super fast and be the go-to lender in your community. But the money is funny. And raising capital is too slow. Well, guess what? You ain't got to take the long route to success, because today I'm going to show you how to lend up to $3.5 million with zero of your own capital. And it's not broken. I'm Anitra Preston, co-founder of Vertical Capital. We lend money to real estate investors and developers in the New Orleans and Baton Rouge area. We are direct lenders and not brokers. We teach people like you to structure safe and profitable loans. We also teach people how to use finance to increase their wealth without any gimmicks or games. If you're interested in learning more, just subscribe to the channel. So white labeling, or sometimes used interchangeably with table funding, is how you can fund up to $3.5 million and possibly more, just depending upon the capital provider. White labeling or table funding is when a larger institution funds your borrower at the closing table in your company's name. Sounds pretty simple, right? Let me explain. The deep pocket lender typically will look to you to provide complete origination to a file. So this means you will find the borrower, you will vet the borrower, you will a property evaluation, you will process the loan, and once all is approved by the capital provider, they will wire the funds to the closing. You're probably thinking, man, this sounds a little too close like loan brokering. Well, it depends on your definition. One stark difference with table funding and white labeling is you, the lender, actually maintain your relationship and communication with the borrower throughout the entire loan term. In some cases, you are actually servicing the loan. It's a stark difference between white labeling and being a broker. Another caveat is the borrower will never know there is another entity involved. So what does that look like? Again, the capital provider will allow you to close the loan in your name, and then you will immediately assign the mortgage over to them at the closing table. Now, this practice may be prohibited in some states, none other, you guessed it, like California. In California, you have to disclose who is funding the loan and who is holding the deed of trust. Y'all, in my opinion, I just think you should just stay away from lending in California. No, I'm just playing. They've got a lot of rules, but don't sweat it. These capital providers will guide you through the entire process, almost ensuring your success and compliance. You're not on your own, guys. You should have a direct contact and entire back office to help you. These national lenders or national capital providers lend money themselves. So they want you to be in compliance and they want to make sure that you are successful as well. And as extension of their business, they will offer table funding or white labeling. So what's cool about joining the program is the qualifications are minimum or none at all. So the barrier to entry is pretty easy. There are 4 types of capital providers. One is a national lender. They're well established and have a huge balance sheet to fund loans. Number 2 is institutional capital backed by Wall Street investment bankers or insurance money. I bet you didn't know, but State Farm invests in notes as well. So this should be your confirmation for you to start lending today. Want to learn how to use your retirement account to invest in notes? Download our free ebook in a description. Sometimes these firms will also purchase the loans after closing. The third type of capital provider is a person with deep pockets, aka we call them whales. And the fourth type of capital provider is a family office. A family office is a private organization that manages the wealth of high net worth families. There are multiple ways to structure a deal with these capital providers. Most will provide 100% of the capital. And notice I said the capital and not 100% financing. So for an example, if you have $100,000 loan and the LTV that they're lending in is 75,000, then they will lend or provide to you the 75,000 at closing. And of course, the borrower would have to come up with the other 25,000. So basically, whatever the loan amount is, they will fund it. And you don't have to come up with anything. Your only expense is marketing for borrowers. And even that can be on the low. In our private money lending course, Elridge dives deep into how to find these borrowers. So the big question we should be asking is, how do I make money? Generally off the points and fees. There are limitations here when it comes to how much you can charge, but during your onboarding process, you will be informed of all of that, of what you can and what you cannot do. So what are the benefits? Okay, here we go. There's minimum to low requirements for entry, meaning you can get started right away. You don't need any or very little capital to start. You can establish yourself as the go-to lender almost immediately. You can offer many different types of loan products out the gate, like no construction, fix and flip, and long-term loans. Also, you can use the strategy to offset your own cash into deals. You also can quickly establish a track record and use this to raise your own capital. Now, ask me why Vertical Capital isn't doing this. It sounds so lovely. It's a great question. Since everything we teach on this channel is basically our experience, I'm sure you want to know why we don't do it. So here's the truth. We considered it. And we did try it for one deal. But when we weighed the direction of our company and how we wanted to establish ourselves in our community, it simply wasn't a good fit for us, which leads me to what could possibly be a con. When using table funding or white labeling, you generally have to adopt to their lending criteria. For example, they may require a minimum credit score, whereas under your own lending criteria, you may not, or your credit score may be lower than what they are expecting. Also, you may require X amount in reserves for the borrower, and their X amount in reserves may be high. So for us, we felt like going this route didn't give us complete control over our business. So let's see an example of a capital provider who offers white labeling and table funding.
Okay.
So guys, what I have here on my screen is Rock Capital. As you can see, the first thing on the page number 1 is capital provider for private lenders, built for growing your private lending business. White labeling, table funding, they're flashing this on the screen as I speak. And you have category if you're a private lender or if you are a loan originator, so you click on that. But let's go into it, right? So right off the bat, it says we fund your borrower at the closing table and in your entity name, so you can focus more on originating and less on raising capital. So this is an alternative to raising capital, right? And so I just wanted to show y'all that Rock Capital is one of those companies out there. There are several different companies. Now let's take a look at their loan product. So you can see the bridge loans, fix and flip, ground up, stabilized bridge. I don't know what that means. You got to take a look at it. Single property rentals, rental portfolios. And let's take a look. So this is the criteria for fix and flip. Well, this is what they're offering for fix and flip, right? Oh my gosh, they're doing loan to cost up to 90%. But here's my point of the video. The minimum loan amount is $50,000. The maximum is $3.5 million. So you can see how you all instantly by coming underneath this umbrella, you're now under this loan amount where you can lend from those multiple different products. Let's see what ground up is. Ground up. Yep, ground up, loan them out, 3.5 million, 50,000 is the minimum, and $3.5 million. So I want to show you what I mean when I say the criteria, right? So again, we were going to do this, as you can see, back in 2022. Now, don't hold these people accountable to what they're telling me in this email, because this was in 2022 and things changed. But here it says you can determine leverage and pricing for your borrowers on our fix and flip products based on these guidelines. So we had to adapt these guidelines. And this was something that Elridge and I was not willing to do. So 1, 6 flips of similar rehabs qualifies for 85% to 90% of the purchase and 100% of the construction holdback. So again, they got 45 flips, 3 flips. These are just some criteria to qualify 85%, 80, and 75% LTV. They're also going to send you some of their terms, their single property rental program, some of their draw process. They're going to go over that with you, and what they require in the draw process when it's a construction base, right? When there's servicing or rehab money involved. They're going to give you these guidelines, the residential rental loans guidelines, and so on and so forth, right? And so, again, this is all a part of the appraisal guidelines. These are so you can be able to explain all this stuff to your borrowers when you're, vetting them and trying to get a deal closed, right? Their underwriting and their closing checklists for rental property loans. You're going to get all of this stuff upon onboarding. So again, if you're new to the business and don't have a lot of capital, or frankly, just don't want to use your own capital, and you can come underneath one of these companies like Rock Capital. There's others like Temple View and all the other good stuff. But guys, look, this concludes this video. If you have any questions regarding that, hey, just drop them in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. See you on the next one.